Good morning, Octopath Traveler community. This is the maintenance announcement for August 28th and the overview for the patch notes of it. So this is an off week, so we're just getting a rerun. Unfortunately, this week's rerun is a long-awaited one for a lot of people. We are finally getting 6-star Richard. Thank God for that. He comes with a paid step-up banner with a 50% chance step 5 to get him, and 150 pity on the free banner. He is a very good unit to upgrade with seals to 6-star if you already own him. If you don't own him, that's a kind of hard one considering the near replicant collab is next week, so I can't really recommend you use rubies to get him now, although he is an exceptionally good unit to own, so that's a tough one. I'd recommend reading Greylub's guide about it. Characters getting 6-star, going to be Richard, Hasami, Corin, Eleanor, and Hayes. No info here if Corin and Eleanor are going to get their CN buffs. Since they didn't get like an actual rerun banner, I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. If they randomly do, I'll definitely make a point of it and list what they are. The job towers are cycling, so we're getting the Thief and Dancer training are now available. The main thing is just make sure that you've done your towers today. For the ones that are about to cycle off, I always just double check to make sure so you don't miss out on that Traveler seal. Richard's going to get Hunt's bonus this week, so if you are just getting Richard, if he is not maxed in Guide Stones yet, he gets extra Guide Stones this week, so use them in Hunts. Just make sure you don't use up all your Hunt tickets this week. You want to make sure that you have 7 max tickets for the start of the near collab, so just keep that in mind. Richard is going to get a power-up pack. Ignore these are terrible value. So, yep, there he is. Another note is that you might have heard is that this is a big deal. There was recently a thing, and I'm also part of the mod team, so I was aware of this. There has been a slew of people that found a way to hack the game and basically cause cheating. They were trying to sell accounts, and they were basically selling the ability to give anybody any A4 in the game, or almost any A4 in the game, for really, really cheap. This was brought up, and we were checking on it a lot, and it looks like the dev team did figure it out, and it looks like they have banned a lot of accounts, like about 20 different accounts or so. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad that they're actually taking a stand against actually cheating. Just for the record, this is not like this is not like actual like massive TOS thing. I was like, even though, so like if you're like using a macro, don't get scared that you're using a macro to help you farm. They're not gonna ban you for that. Just don't, obviously don't go online and brag about it. But otherwise, yeah, you're fine. And if you are somehow one of these accounts watching this video, shame on you. That's all I'm gonna say. Shame on you. So let's briefly go over our units that are getting upgrades. So Richard, so he gets a 6-star upgrade. This is very important. So this is a skill that you use a lot if you're in a sword team because it inflicts sword res down and it's very good. Even if it's random target, it doesn't really matter all that much, right? Actually, hold on 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. So like it does sword res down, right? It's a small chance. That's only 25% chance. 6-star upgrade, medium. That goes up to a 50% chance. So that massively increases the RNGs, because usually you only need 1 proc hit to proc because of his passive. It's 3 turns per hit, not 2. This is huge. This sounds like a simple upgrade. This is massive because not having to deal with stupid ass RNG to get the proc that you need for your clear is great. And then he also gets an EX skill that's actually pretty good. It's all allies, 10% P attack, sword and spear damage up for 2 turns, and dead aim for 2 turns. Well, this is also actually 3 turns because of his buff duration. This is actually exceedingly good because if you don't have another source of it, he can now self-cap P attack, sword, and spear damage up, and give 3 turns of dead aim. That's really, really good. Okay, so yeah, definitely upgrade him. Corin. Corin is not the best. Like, his one-hit nuke just gets stronger. The issue with the one-hit nuke getting stronger is, like, it does get 100,000 damage cap, but it's still 1 hit. Then we got Hayes. Hayes has his one-hit single-target axe and fire mixed attack, which is bad because it's mixing physical and magic together, which is just bad. And so the power gets stronger and the multiplier increases if they're bleeding, and it doesn't remove bleeding. That doesn't make him any better. I'm sorry, it's still bad. He also gets an EX skill that's just a one-hit axe with damage cap, which is bad. It requires enemy to be bleeding, which is his entire gimmick, but it's still bad. Also for Corrin's EX skill, sorry, it's a 4-hit single target sword that also exploits light. And if they have more than 4 shield after the attack, then he double casts it. So this is like a shield shave skill, so it's like an 8-hit sword for shaving shields, not really for damage. He can use it only if he has max HP up to 3 times, so it's meant for shaving shields. It's not that great. And yeah, Hayes' upgrade is not that great either. For the dancers, you got Hasumi. Her front row SP regen now targets all allies with 6-star. SP is really not a problem anymore, so unfortunately this upgrade comes way too late to be useful. But her EX skill is actually decent because it heals all allies and gives 15% magic attack up and 15% all elemental damage up. So that's actually not a bad thing to throw in for maybe potential speed clears and stuff, because just this all damage up and all magic attack up, all allies use the only gimmick is, even though I said for speed clears you can't use it till turn 3, so you know your experience may vary. And then finally Eleonora. So at the start of battle, she gives herself physical attacks dodge for 3 stacks of dodging physical attacks. Now this affects all the front row, so if she's like in the back row, she can give the entire front row 3 dodge stacks. So you can kind of use this as like for 3 dodging without Ophelia EXA4, you can get 3 dodge stacks of physical for certain EX fights, and maybe clear them without needing a healer now. So that's an option. You can use her as like a weird pseudo thing for that. And then her EX skill it allows her to give the front row dodge magical attacks for 1 to 4 attacks from turn 4 onwards, only once per battle. This is bad. So out of all the upgrades, Richard's the clear winner. Use seals on him. Don't bother the seals on the rest. Alright, and then this is a really big thing I wanted to briefly gloss over that a friend of mine named Nova translated the JP for us. Japan is getting a Final Fantasy VI collab this week, and it is going to have 2 parts, but the first 3 units are coming are Terra, Locke, and Edgar as a scholar, thief, and merchant. And I have a brief kit overview that a friend of mine gave me. So Terra is a scholar, and her elemental moves gives herself magic points. And when she has magic points, that she can shift into trance. And when she's in trance, she gets a bonus 20% elemental magic attack up, fire damage up, and all elemental damage up. And she increases her elemental attack and fire damage up cap to 50%, so that 40% damage up isn't wasted. And she also gives herself double cast and can double cast her ultimate. A notable skill she has is her EX move that gives her 4 magic points, 20% elemental attack up, 100k damage cap up for 6 turns, and then does 4 times 90 fire AoE that pierces wind. And it also increases the max res down for fire debuff to enemies to 50%, so this allows massive damage increases for magic. She has a 300 SP Giga Nuke that hits fire and pierces sword and wind weaknesses, and its potency is increased by 50% when the target is combusted, and at max boost has a damage cap of up to 300k. It is a 3x300 at max boost, or 6x 450 with trance plus a combusted target, which is crazy strong. For Locke is a thief that has a very interesting gimmick that's very easy to abuse. His first passive grants him dead aim if he wasn't hit the prior turn, which is super easy because it's so easy to have a tank or just have him be in the back row. So it's so easy to just for him to not get hit. So, and on break turns he's not getting hit, so this is gonna auto proc too. And what this passive does is it adds 30% of his critical stat to his physical attack and changes his crit multiplier to 1.4. So he's automatically critting and he's doing an extra crit damage. At max boost, he also exploits ice, fire, and lightning weaknesses and double casts. He has 30% self-dagger damage up, and the lower his health, the higher the damage he deals, up to 99% damage up when his health is at 1% or less. So if you can get him down to like 1 HP and he's still alive, like he's doing up to 99% extra damage, that's crazy. His notable moves are a 73 SP dagger move that seems to consume his HP up to 5 times, 10% each time, and then deals 4 times 80 AoE dagger, ice, fire, and lightning. And if there's only with more than one target remaining, it becomes a 6-hit move. So the fact that he can drain his own HP in order to set up his passive to do even more damage is a really good synergy for him. And his best damage option is his EX move. He drains his 10% of his own HP up to 9 times to get him down to really low HP for even higher damage. To unleash a 5 times 80 AoE dagger move. With only one target, it becomes a 6 times 80. And apparently it's notable that a lot of his moves also give him evasion, so while he's lowering his HP, he's also dodging attacks, so he can't be killed. So that's really good, except for enemies that can hit through evasion. So he is a damage powerhouse and might be the winner of the collab so far. And finally for Edgar, he is a merchant that hits light and polearm with pretty much all of his moves, except for a crossbow one. And his main gimmick is debuffing, so kind of like a Roland type character. He has a move showcase that was showcased that decreases the P attack, P def, elemental attack, and elemental defense of a single target by 10% for 2 turns. That goes from a 4-hit to 6-hit at max boost. He has a drill move that debuffs P def and polearm res down, that extends the P def and polearm res down cap to 50%, and then does a 4 times 85 or an 8 times 210 at max boost to a single target that pierces light, and at max boost gains 50% potency up and ignores damage reduction and P def. Wow, that's crazy. His EX move gives him priority to do a 50 times 6 spear attack that reduces physical defense and elemental defense by 20% and light spear res by 20%. And then finally his ultimate, it appears to be kind of weak, but it's actually good. And hear me out. So it debuffs spear and light res by 5% and physical defense and elemental defense by 5%. That might only be at level 1, so it'll probably scale up to like 10 to 15% at ult 10 and ult 20. But then he also gives an effect for 2 turns that adds 15% of his physical defense to P attack and 15% of his elemental defense to elemental attack to all allies. This is an extra new unique buff of a way of getting damage that no other unit can provide. He can give 15% of his defense to the relevant stat to all allies, so he can support both magic and physical with a lot of potential extra damage. It only lasts 2 turns, but because this is a support ult, that means he can rearguard cast it the turn of break, so nothing is lost. So yeah, that is the brief overview of the Final Fantasy VI collaboration. I wanted to throw it in at the end of these patch notes. Thanks to Nova for help translating it. I know this is the global patch notes, but this is just a huge deal because that's Final Fantasy VI. Like, yo, that's so hyped that we're getting another Final Fantasy collab. Yes, Global's probably not going to get this for over a year, but like, who cares? This is super duper hype, and there's a part 2 at the end of September, so whatever units come in part 2, Kefka, please. We will hopefully, I will cover them again in a patch notes as well, or in its own video, just because this is super duper hype. But yeah, TLDR, make Richard 6-star if you have him. If you don't have him, don't waste rubies because Nier's next week. And yeah, I'll see everyone next week for the Nier collab. There'll be a lot of videos about that, so look forward to that. Please like, follow, and subscribe for more COTC content coming in the future. Thanks for everyone for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.